Welcome to a new episode. Again, this is remembering, thinking, exploring, try to make sense of it. So, thank you for listening. I have specifically asked for a sign. While all that this sand around me is depositing slowly, and I can sort of like remember my passions and trying to understand what really is important to me. So I've asked for a sign, and they say to ask the uncreated, as in the source of everything, whatever has never been created, but it is the creator, or creatix, God, goddess, source. And they say that if you are courageous enough to ask, you will receive an answer, and you might get, they say, like a sketch or a map or a drawing or some ideas or a name through, and that is the start and the beginning of your next journey. So last night I went to bed, and after watching a documentary on Joan Collins and her life, and realizing how free she was and how determined. And this also resonated with me because yesterday I was at a course and I presented something that I really, really deeply care about. And at the end of the feedback that I received in my presentation, besides the fact of being courageous and being passionate about it, but it's been very me. And I like the idea of something that being very me, when somebody can recognize me, and that means that I feel I'm getting a sense of depth. I'm not bidimensional anymore, but I'm getting three-dimensional. I spent a lot of times in my life feeling totally invisible as Mrs. Nobody, and then by doing art in the past couple of years, I think that I gained a sense of like bidimensionality, and now I can get to three-dimensional. Anyway, back to my asking for a sign and a sense of direction. And what I found fascinating was that last night, when I woke up this morning, I remember vividly a scene in this dream that I had, and it could have been set in, let's say, in a Pacific island, somewhere around Hawaii or something. And if you've ever watched any of the episodes of Tom Selleck, is Magnum PI, and it's there is the very wooden, white, very low, small, sort of like flat houses, and I remember this whiteness against a sort of like a grassy lawn, an expanse in front of the house, and some palm on the other side. So if you can visualize, there is this house on the right hand side, and there is a whole centerpiece which is this lawn, and towards the left hand side there are like a couple of palm trees, and they are in the sea. Sea is quiet, but the sky somehow it's very dark. It's not rainy dark, but it's just a dark sky anyway, contrasting with this sort of like emerald green and freshness of this grassed lawn. And there is a figure, a female figure, and I think it is me, represents me, and it's walking from the house towards the palm trees. And even though I haven't checked for the various mythological or symbolism, metaphors, the funny thing is that the word that I kept repeating was semiotic. And it's not really semiotics, but it's something similar to semiotics. Semiotics will give me an idea. It's not really semiotics, but semiotics will give me an idea. So I woke up this morning and I thought about my request to the energy, about having a sign and a sense of direction, asking the uncreator or the uncreated, to formulate and gestate and then create and deliver me something. And among sketches and maps and drawings and words, I got a specific word. The word is semiotics. And little did I know I did semiotics and semiology more than semiotics when I did an exam in glottology and linguistics, and I'm talking 1988, and I remember getting 21. It was an exam that I was petrified to give when I did my sort of first degree in English, foreign language and literature, and glottology was one of the compulsory modules, and as I said, I got 21 out of 30, which was sort of like 7 out of 10, so barely scraped the barrel, basically. But I remember that I was fascinated by this concept that there is something that has got a meaning. So there is as much as yesterday in my presentation, I was talking about the seer and the seen, about the object and the subject. In this sense, we're having an object as a symbol, which has got a meaning that you transferred from the symbol in itself to the person. And this symbol resonates within the person. And that made me think about the three literature figures who, I'm saying literature, but in a very wider sense of the word, figures that always fascinate me. And one is Sherlock Holmes, especially the Sherlock Holmes as portrayed by Johnny Lee Miller in Elementary. I think that the psychological, troubled, but also extremely exciting and brave and courageous and intellectual and knowledgeable version of Johnny Lee Miller is absolutely exceptional. So Sherlock Holmes as one, and then of course the other person is Robert Langdon, whom resonates a lot with me because I like art history, I like mythology, I like religious studies, I like metaphors, I like synonyms, and of course I like symbols. And he has got this job which is purely made up, as a symbologist professor at Harvard University. And the third character is Daniel Pierce, Dr. Daniel Pierce, and he was unfortunately only 2 seasons or 3 season tops of Perception, which was an American TV series about this professor who suffers from schizophrenia and hallucinations, and he's a professor of neuroscience, and he helps in cracking cases, etc. So what do these three figures have in common? Well, I would say, of course, symbols and psychoanalysis and neuroscience, and the fact that there is drenched in research and in meaning and solving conundrums. They deal with symbols metaphorically and in reality. And in most
disconnect.
Whoa, that was my loudspeaker. It's disconnected now. And of course they all deal somehow with history and religious symbols. Even Sherlock Holmes, with this sort of like more metaphysical aspect of his research, with ideograms and iconology. They see patterns, they see connections. They look for coded message, and one of the things that I have always said is that since 1988, and especially from 1995, I have always been looking for God's algorithm. But maybe I've done it from 1976. There is always something that puzzles me, and there is this deep internal sense of awareness that this is not all there is, that there is much more. And I mean, this is also part of the research of encountering the spiritual in the act of making art, in this case, when I'm going into my master's in a couple of weeks' time. So, semiotics. Now, the question that leaves me puzzled now is that it was a very clear message from the unconscious, if we want to talk in Jungian terms. why am I not excited about it? Why don't I trust? So this is for some thinking about this afternoon after work, and maybe tonight in a nice walk. So this is going to be part of my elucubration for this afternoon. So again, thank you for listening. I've been Mathilde, and this is Rap Lipstick and Wine. So this is it. One episode's done. Now more journaling, more thinking, more walking outdoors and elucubrating, which is always a good verb to use. So if you want to know more about me, you will be able to find me on Instagram, and you are able also to find me on my website, which is www.matildetomat.com. Okay, see you around. Bye.